Hi there, it's Rose. Welcome back to my channel. It's a cloudy, overcast Monday here, and so it's a perfect day for just working in my craft room and getting some things organized and some things die cut. So today I am participating in an open collab that's called Die Cut With Me Mondays, and this collab is hosted by Pebbles from Qualitas Creations, and she just asks that we die cut anything that we'd like, share what we're die cutting, maybe how we're using our dies or storing our dies. It's just Die Cut With Me Mondays. So be sure to follow that hashtag. Check out her channel, which I will link in the description box below, and stop by her channel, say hello, and tell her that Rose sent you over. And today I am doing some die cutting. I'm using my little Diamond Press Marquee. It has this type of a folder, if you haven't seen one of these before, and you just put your paper and your die in this and just crank it through. So it's one of these crank little manual machines. I like it because it's very portable. I love the size, and most of my dies work with this machine, so it's just very, very handy. And today I die cut some Diamond Press dies. This collection is called Best Wishes Sentiments, and I store my dies on magnetic sheets, and I make a little backing so I see the company and the name of the die. And Diamond Press, and then I just store them in these plastic pockets that you can get on Amazon. So that's the way I store them. And the nice thing about Diamond Press dies is that they typically come with a little sheet that has them all shown for you, so you can see what the dies are. Here it's heartfelt sending, miss you, wishes, many. I'm saying them out of order, but you get the idea. Congrats, happy. And then here's the birthday, and then best, and you saw the wishes, and then there's a hello, there's a thanks, friend, note. So, you can just arrange them or cut them out any way you like, and you can use some of these are larger dies, which if you're a scrapbooker, they would be perfect for scrapbook pages, but they do fit on A2 size cards, which is where I come in, because that's what I typically will make. So today I cut out the hello, thanks, and the happy birthday, but there's some other ones here that are very, very cute. So I just tucked this little sheet in with my dies so that when I pull them out, I don't have to just try to figure out what dies are on these sheets. That's very easy and handy with when it comes down to word dies. So I cut out some of those. Let me show you what I have die cut, and then I'll show you another die that I've been die cutting as well. So here's a look at what I've been die cutting, and if you remember about a week ago, I showed my binder with my scraps of colored cardstock that I organized. So I've just been working my way through that and pulling out different colors and, die cutting. So here are the thanks. You can see a little bit better what they look like up close rather than on that picture. And I really like the size of the thanks. I was very happy that they did fit on an A2 size card, but they will also be really, really pretty on a mini slimline as well, or even a full-size slimline. Here's the birthday, and I cut the happy out in different colors. And then the hello is what I would probably use the most, because I like just the basic hello cards are great to have in my stash. But if you follow me, you know that I make a lot of thank you cards and birthday cards. So these are what I will use the most out of that selection of dies. So I like to cut them out in multiples for a couple of reasons. One, you can stack them, so it gives a little bit more dimension. But the other reason is that I just like to have several of one if I'm batch making cards. So, and what I might do the next time is just put some of that adhesive on the back when I run it through the die cut so that they're just easy, and that'll save me on gluing. I love these colors anyway. They're just really bright and cheery too. Let me show you what they might look like on the front of a card. Now I just laid these on the card front just so you can get a sense of the size. I didn't glue anything down. Obviously I would add some embellishments and maybe some other die cuts before creating the card, but just so you can get an idea of what they might look like and for the size. So they work really nice, the larger birthday and thanks, for the card being horizontal. And here's a look at the happy birthday. And here's the thanks with the burgundy color. And that's just a card front that I did some stenciling on. And here's the hello. This one I will probably use the most of, like I said, because I make so many of these to have ready to send out. Now, the other die that I used was one that I've had in my stash for a while. I went on a huge hunt when I was trying to get this die, and I tracked it down, and then I filed it away with my dies and never brought it out and used it. So I thought, as I was kind of going through my stash, I thought I've got to really try this because I'm getting into making Halloween, and this just die reminds me of Halloween for whatever reason. I just think that the background cuts out so interesting, and it would be a great base for my Halloween cards. So this is the Sizzlix and Tim Holtz bubbling die. And the cool thing is that it cuts out, obviously, the frame of this and the insides. But then I cut this out on my Big Shot, so it was a little finicky. Some of them cut very cleanly and some stayed in, which I thought was fine. I did save the cutouts. What I think would be interesting to do is to cut this out and then cut it out twice in two different colors and then lay in the inserts from the other paper. For example, if you cut this out in green and then cut it out in red, you could take the red dots and lay them in the green. And I think that would make a really interesting background. Or you can just leave them as, void spots, and your color cardstock for the base would show through the holes. A lot of options for this die, and that's what really drew me to it initially. Now, as I mentioned, it was a little bit finicky to cut out. I had to use my precision plate, and that was okay. I think the next time I will definitely use the double-sided tape on the back of the paper when I run it through, so that when I go to glue it down, I'll just be able to peel that backing off and just lay it down rather than have to worry about trying to glue around all the holes. So let me show you what it looks like. Now I'm just laying it on a piece of black 8.5 by 11 cardstock just so that you can see what the die actually looks like cut out. And here's what I'm talking about. Some cut very cleanly and then some stayed in, which I was okay with because it's that kind of a die that's just so interesting anyway. But this green foil was really my favorite choice, specifically because, like I said, I'm thinking ahead to Halloween, starting Halloween crafting. This color green really just, I can see doing a kind of a creepy monster laboratory type card. I have some really interesting stamps that are kind of like the lab vials and that kind of thing, and maybe a monster face. I've got a great couple of Frankenstein stamps that I'm going to be using this season. I think that would be really great as a focal on this background. So this is just really, really versatile. It could also be a really cute, kind of a cheery birthday card too. Like I said, you could do ink blending on the cardstock underneath this in different colors and then lay this over it so that it looks like the bubbles are all different colors. You could do some alcohol inks as a background for a base. A lot of different ways to go. And really your paper underneath would dictate the way your card goes, I think. So this is the first one. Now this one is another one of my favorites. This is kind of like a copper and it has texture to it. This is a specialty paper. And again, you can see some of them cut out, some didn't. If I put this one next to the green one, you'll see many more popped out for the green than did this one. This one was without the precision plate. This one was with the precision plate. But I still think they're both great. I don't think that you have to have all the ones that should cut out to make this a really interesting background. So here it is in this really pretty kind of bronzy gold. Hopefully you can see the texture on that paper too. Now this was one of the papers from the Dollar Tree in that pack of like all different color bright cardstock. And again, this one didn't cut out all of them and I was fine with that, but I just like the different tones of kind of the yellow and green because that was a really pretty modeled paper. So that's what that one looks like. And here's my last one. This is kind of like an iridescent, your holographic kind of look. And again, you can see one side is really cut out, the other one not so much, but like I said, I'm okay with that. I'm thinking of maybe a sentiment in this area, or, maybe a really interesting stamp or sticker would be really fun. Maybe some butterflies coming through and doing some leaves. I think that would be a really pretty background. And so that's my last one. So that's what I'm sharing for today's Die Cut With Me Mondays. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at my die cuts. Please be sure to follow the hashtag and jump in if you would like to share what is happening with your die cuts, share some of your dies, what you're die cutting, and what you're up to in your craft room. Thanks again to Pebbles for hosting. Please be sure to check out her channel, Qualitas Creations, and it's listed below. I'm wishing you a wonderful day. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.